Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. I'm your host, Oscar Meeks. Episode 207 today, joined, as always, by the wonderful Brad Nye. Hey, Brad, how's it going today?
Going well. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing really good. Gearing up for the weekend. And hey, I'm going to talk about the weather since I
All
always give
right.
you a hard time. It looks like we're going to get a break from the heat this weekend and a break from the humidity. And so I'm really looking forward to um, watching some Reds with my nephew on Friday. He's got a birthday coming up, and so we decided to go to the Reds game.
Nice.
And then we're going to
That's
try
fun.
to do some get some river time in. Take the drift boat down to the river, and float the river, and hopefully catch some fish, man.
There you go. I like it. That sounds like a good weekend.
Yeah. How about you? What's been going on?
Uh, Not a whole lot. We're still pretty low key. Uh, recovering from surgery is limits what you can do when you got somebody who can't really walk. So, uh, just taking it easy, relaxing, and just enjoying downtime. It's
Yeah.
kind of nice to just decompress a little bit and not have to do something.
Yeah, for sure. And so Zach he's kicking butt though, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He's able to walk around the house with his walker. He puts his glasses down and walks around with his shoulders hunched like an old man. It's funny.
Yeah, he does have such a wonderful personality and sense of humor, and it's awesome.
So yeah, doing well though. So yeah, just gonna keep working with him and rehabbing and
Yeah.
enjoying life.
Yeah. So how's work going, man? Anything fun and exciting you've been working on recently?
Funny. It's been surprise. I don't want to say this because I'm gonna jinx myself, but I was looking at my calendar and I don't have any face-to-face client meetings next week, which is the
Oh
first
wow.
time that I think in this almost 7 years that I can remember that happening. I was like, what's going on? What is Oscar not telling me? But
Hold on, let me call the PM team real quick and
yeah,
see if we can
right.
fix that for you.
I have work to do, but I was just like surprised I had no calls like with
Yeah.
customers. That
Do you
just
want
doesn't.
some? Is that what you're looking
No,
for?
no. I was like, I'm gonna get caught up. Holy crap!
Hear that, listeners? This should go out hopefully Monday or Tuesday.
Right.
Brad's got nothing to do next week, so
I did
just
not say that.
give him a call. He wants to talk to you.
I
He's
didn't say I
really
have nothing
upset.
to do. But
Oh
no,
man.
that was crazy. No, picked up a couple tabletops, IR tabletops. So that'd be fun. I haven't done one of those in a couple of years. So that's fun to get back in and do that. And yeah, just getting people trained up on the VVRM and
Hmm.
all that. It's going really smooth. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, man. It's those tabletops are fun, and
Hmm.
um, it's something like I like to describe. It's like kind of like cyber D&D, right?
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what I said too.
Yeah, we just get to do like Dungeons and Dragons, and we play the role of Dungeon Master, and we tell you what the hackers did and figure out how you respond to that.
Yep.
Always have fun with those.
Yeah. Yeah. It's even better when you have somebody, you know, riding shotgun who's taking notes for you.
Yeah,
Makes it so much easier than trying to go back and listen to a recording of yourself.
for sure, man. So you got one of those coming up week after next? Is that what you said?
No, I did the kickoff earlier today, so
Uh
it'll
huh.
be in like probably they said they wouldn't be ready till late September, early October.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little while, but that gives me some time to have some fun with it, putting together the scenario.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
So yeah.
This is
What
kind of
about you?
funny. I was just thinking here. So I've been working on this annual report, and we've
Yep.
almost got it done. I got the drafting done. I'm working through our awesome marketing team has finished some QA on there. So I'm working through their feedback and trying to get this all buttoned up and ready to go to design by next week. And so that's been taking a lot of time. But I had to pull up the statistic. That's what I was doing when you were talking there. Is we've seen it uptick in tabletops, and we have been really like preaching from the mountaintops. Like you need to do a tabletop.
Hmm.
And a spoiler, I've gave away a few statistics on here that's going to be in the report, but another one, and I'm just going to ask you, how many organizations, percentage wise, would you guess are actually doing tabletops at least annually?
I'm gonna go 16%.
30%. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's better than I
Respectable
thought.
guess. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited to start this annual report and do it every year to kind of see our evolution and growth,
Yeah.
and I
Sure.
know this year for sure, we've been a lot more vocal with our clients and saying, hey, you need to do this. You really need to do this. And it's something that, organizations haven't been through that exercise. I think they don't understand the value, and they are so valuable for orgs.
Oh
I
my
think some
gosh.
people too are even a little intimidated to even, they're scared to do it. Like, we're going to come in and we're going to tell you suck at your jobs. You don't know how to do anything, and we're going to make you feel bad. No, that's not what we do at all. These
Right.
exercises are really, really fun. We have a good
Mhm.
time when we're doing them, and you learn so much about your capabilities.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was like when we do the kickoffs, we gather information and all that, but we also ask them, how how intense do you want this on a scale of 1 to 10, and kind
Mm-hmm.
of give some examples of,
The pain scale.
yeah, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
a 5 is roughly this, a 7 is this, and a 10 is you're in the corner crying at the end.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Spoiler, a 10, everything's encrypted, everything's destructed, including your backups, no path to recovery, and the
they leak,
attackers disappear.
and they threaten to leak your data and then quit talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
those are
but
a lot of fun. I'm happy to see that more of our clients and just more people in general are starting to kind of pay attention to that and say, yeah, we need to do this. It's like we always talk. I mean, it's a statement we've made many, many times that the worst time to test your incident response plan is in the middle of an incident. And
mhm.
so this just gives you that opportunity to sit down in a relaxed environment, and you just learn so much about your program. Everybody learns what their role is too. And that's
Yep.
something that can't be understated. Like, you may have this plan, and the plan may define what each individual's responsibilities are in the event of an incident, but that doesn't mean that individual is always going to be aware of that or even remember that. These
Right.
plans are pretty static. You create the plan. Hey, Brad, in an incident, you're going to do this. Okay. 6 months passes. Brad's probably forgot that,
Yeah.
you
Not
know,
me. Not me. The other
not
Brad.
Brad, but
No.
another Brad
Yeah.
in a
Yeah. Yeah.
simulated world may have forgot that.
No,
Right.
but no, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you think about just skills in general, you don't,
Hmm.
we got talk about DEF CON's coming up, and I've been doing some CTF and during lunch, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, I need the cheat sheet. I don't remember this from
Hmm.
a year ago. I'm much
Yeah.
less, other things that you don't maybe aren't even as natively that don't come to you like that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
just habits, just developing
right.
habits, right? And so that's what
So
these exercises allow you to do. And we want everybody to, we recommend do one once a year at least, but you don't have to stop there. Doing this every 6 months is great. And there's different levels, like Brad was saying. Like, you have the opportunity to do a pain scale 1, or you have the opportunity to do a pain scale 10. We even offer tabletop lights where it's like, hey, yeah, I don't need a report, I don't need anything. I just want to practice. Cool.
yeah,
Let's set in a room. Let's do that. It'll take, half a day. We'll knock it out. We'll
those are
still
even
give you
more
good
fun.
feedback, and then you can be ready for the next one, and we'll give you that full report if you need the
Yeah,
report. But there's a lot of options there, and I urge
yeah.
everybody, because I know all of our listeners now have a plan, because we've released that badass plan that everyone keeps downloading every month. So that's awesome. You got your plan. Let's test it.
Yep. Yeah, it's yeah, they're fun. I like doing them.
Hmm.
Like
I'd
I said,
also
the
like to give everybody a heads up too so Black Hill Security, they're another respected pen testing firm. They do good work. But they've got a game called Backdoors and Breaches. It's like $10, I think. And I think there's even a free online version of that game now. And
yeah,
if you guys haven't heard of Backdoors and Breaches, go check it out. It's super cool. You can do some tabletopping in a really fun, gamified environment, and
mm-hmm.
low cost. And yeah, it's fun. It's super valuable.
And Huntress has a add-on to it, a
Hmm.
additional pack you can add more stuff to. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
that. Some of the consulting team did that during the all company as part of our team building
Hmm.
and helping get some people leveled up.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's
Yeah. So
fun.
I was just talking to Megan about that yesterday, and it's like Black Hills is technically a competitor to us, but like we talk about, and it's like we want more good security companies. You
Yeah.
know, it's good for all of us to have those good companies. And I totally will promote that. That's a great thing. And so I was talking to Megan about it yesterday, like just go order like 10 or 20 decks of those cards. Make sure everybody on the consulting team has a copy. If we got clients that want them, order a few extra and just give them out so you guys can enjoy that. They're $10, low investment, and there's a high return. You're going to learn something. You're going to have some fun while you learn it too.
100%. Yeah, I don't think it was you. I think it was with Evan, but we've had John Strand on the podcast, So yeah, we all talked about there's more than enough business for all of us.
For sure. Just help each other out.
Let's work with let's get the right companies out there.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and it's good. I mean, like we see other companies like that try to do security the right way. We're always going to promote them for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess other stuff in my world that's been going on, like besides the report and stuff, we got just some conference stuff coming up here soon. Doing, Hacks and Hops in Bozeman here in a couple weeks. I'm excited about that. And then I was just talking to the guys. We're going to do Hack RedCon, which is in September. Nice. And that's going to be in Louisville. DerbyCon retired a few years ago.
Yep.
And these guys aren't really trying to replace DerbyCon. They just know that there was a great con in Louisville, and there's a good group of people here that want to be involved still in that community, and so they're trying to let that community live on. And those are the same guys we had on before for Hack SpaceCon that are doing Hack RedCon. And so we're going to get them back on the show here probably in a couple weeks and talk about Hack Red. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to do a training workshop. I still haven't even told them, so if they hear this before I get it to them, but they asked me if I want to do a workshop or a talk, and it's like, I want to do a workshop this time.
Very
and
cool.
So I was just talking to Pinky. I think we're going to do something together. And so if our listeners are in the area, you want to come, you can come get a free training workshop with me and Pinky. It's going to be 2 hours, and we're going to be focusing on forensic techniques. And so I think the things that we've outlined at this point to do is we're going to teach people how to create a timeline from an MFT, how to use that timeline, which is a super valuable and underrated technique that a lot of people just aren't doing when they're trying to forensicate. We're going to do some event log analysis, so teaching people how to quickly parse logs and what you're looking for in those logs. We're going to do some code deobfuscation, so finding some C2 beacons, teaching people how to deobfuscate the beacons and understand the domains they're communicating with, read the code set, be able to identify what the beacon is. And then we're going to do some dynamic malware analysis as well. So show people how to build a lab, be able to quickly analyze malware in that dynamic setting. And so I'm hoping we can cram it all into like 2 hours. It's going to be a lot for 2 hours, but I'm thinking like 30-minute chunks for each. It's going to be
very cool.
We're going to get there quick. So I'm excited about that. Should be fun. And hopefully we'll get some people, if you guys are listening to the show and you come out, holler at me, and love to have you in the workshop.
Yeah, there are times when I do miss the IR stuff. I don't miss the nights, weekends, and some of the other stuff, but yeah, that hit of adrenaline when you find that beacon or you find whatever, it's just, it's hard to replace that with governance work.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, and I don't get to work on cases as much. I just kind of, get pulled in occasionally, and every now and then they'll still holler at me to come look at something, and I'm always super excited. Like, hell yeah, let's go. Right. And it's also like, hey, you still need the old man, right?
Exactly.
And so that's always fun.
Yeah, that's kind of why I've done some of the CTF and keeping the skills, because it's fun. I enjoy doing it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I guess I skipped right over that. We've got DEF CON coming up in just a couple weeks too, which I'm really excited about. Unlike you, I haven't been able to get any practice in between the last couple of weeks. It's been busy, and so I'm hopeful to try to get geared up for that. I think I'm going to try to do Capture the Packet again this year. Me and Pinky did that one last year and actually finished 4th, just barely right outside of the top. And so I'm excited to give that another go this year. Although Pinky, my partner, isn't going to be there, so I don't know who. I'm going to have to recruit someone else to come join me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing. Have they released the CTS yet? Last time
they have. Yeah, they started putting stuff up. I know they brought. I think OpenSOC is back this year, but it's its final year. I think they've
Oh,
announced like, this is it, we're retiring. I
that's
know the blue team was talking about that, so I think it's at least back. I think that, I don't know if all the CTFs have been released, but they're starting to put information up
very
now.
cool. Yeah.
So
Well, I checked like last week and I hadn't seen anything. I haven't checked since.
yeah,
But OpenSoft was fantastic. I was really impressed with them.
yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure. Yeah, so all our listeners too, if you guys are going to be at DEF CON, holler, shoot us a note. I'd love to say hi. We'll have a whole bunch of the FRSecure folks out there, and
They were looking at air quote uniforms.
oh
I
yeah,
don't know if you saw that.
I've heard rumblings of such, but
I was like,
yeah,
oh, good lord. Oh, well, not upset. I'm not going to be there.
yeah. All right, cool. I think we had a couple of notifications to talk about quickly for our listeners. The vulnerabilities, man. They just, it's like, it's so like overwhelming. Like every day I keep an eye on news and I've got my feeds and it's just continuous, man. It's just like
I,
another day, another exploitable, another day, another exploitable.
I know. It's absolutely insane. Like, and then like you said, I have 3 different aggregator sites that I track daily, and I still
Mm-hmm.
get people coming to me and say, "Hey, did you hear about this?" I'm like, well, "No, what?
Yeah.
When did that come out?"
Yeah. It's rolling so fast right now. So I guess the big update, we'll let everybody know, like Adobe ColdFusion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're running Adobe, hopefully you're aware of this by now and you are patching. But this one was kind of interesting because there's 3 vulnerabilities in total. And I think 2 of those were known. But then Adobe accidentally disclosed the third one when they were responding to another vulnerability, and a
Very funny.
pretty big screw up by them. They were aware of that. They were releasing a patch for CV 20232930, and in those patch release notes, they accidentally publicly disclosed the details for vulnerability 38203, and which was patched 2 days later, but it was a critical 9.8
Right? Yeah.
vulnerability, and I think they were both RCEs as well. Um, yeah. So all of these vulnerabilities are being actively exploited. There are
Yep.
proof of concepts available in the wild right now. And essentially, I want to talk about this because we've talked about it 100 times at this point. The patch is not enough. I
Nope.
feel like I'm saying this. Everybody's going to get tired of hearing me say this. But if you are a user of ColdFusion, understand that if you were already compromised, and there is a significant chance that you were already compromised, that the patch will not remediate a compromised server.
Correct. Yeah. Threat hunt.
Threat hunt.
Look,
And
I mean, the nice thing is that, and we'll talk about another one here in a second, but both of them release indicators of compromise. Hey, here's what we're seeing. So they're giving you what to look for.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't looked at those IOCs, I'll be honest, for these yet, but I'm sure it's web shells.
Yeah, I
It's web
believe,
shells.
right.
And so, hey,
Domains that are being reached out to.
yeah. So look for web shells. Look for any external communications that are non-typical, and kind of going back to timelining, man. We're just
Yeah.
talking about why timelining is such a valuable technique. This is a perfect example of how timelining can be used to forensicate a device.
Yep.
So in this instance, and I don't know, I'm speaking just from experience, these are likely going to be web shells, right? I'm not sure the format they're dropping on the ColdFusion boxes, but look at those IOCs, identify the file types that are being utilized for the web shells, and then you're going to do a timeline. If you don't know how to do a timeline, we have a pretty good blog article on how to
Yeah.
create a timeline that's out there today. So go check that blog article out, timeline your ColdFusion server, and specifically look for those file types that are listed in the IOCs and see if you have any files that have been created in the time period that we know these exploits were, or these vulnerabilities were being exploited. If you
Mm-hmm.
identify the creation of these file types, then you need to investigate those files to confirm if they're malicious or not. There is also another technique that you can utilize in timelining that's super dope, because when you see the creation of the ASPX files, which we've seen used previously, like in
Mm-hmm.
China Chopper, right? That's a pretty popular web shell.
Right.
You'll see that file get created, and so you know the web shell's there and you have been exploited. But then people ask, okay, was the web shell actually utilized? And so you can use your timeline to see if the file was created, but then see if the file was actually compiled. Because if you see the file was actually compiled, that indicates access by the threat actors and confirms they did have access into the server. Also, correlate those creation of your web shell files that you identify in your timeline back to your web server logs and see if you have any inbound connections that are targeting those web shells to determine if you have an attacker that's actively on that server. And here's why I point that out. If you have the web shells and they haven't been accessed, you likely were exploited in a spray and pray. They were dropping that web shell with the idea we'll come back around later. Okay, so you can likely clean up those web shells, patch your server, you should be good to go, right? However, if you see that web shell was utilized and accessed by the attacker, well, guess what? Now you have to do a full threat hunt because it's possible they've deployed other persistent access methods on your web server, or perhaps laterally moved throughout your organization. And so you need to do a full threat hunt specifically on the server, any adjacent systems to determine if there's signs of compromise, and then throughout the rest of your network. So have fun.
Yeah. And, you know, can't mess around with this. Like, you know, they don't waste time. If they've accessed it, they're not wasting time. At that point.
Yeah, if they've accessed the shell, they're staging for another attack at that point. So you need to be diligent. If you have those ColdFusion systems and you have patched and you haven't done analysis, do that analysis now. As always, this isn't a show to try to curate business for us, but if you need help, we're here. Holler.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so the other one, let's see if the listeners can guess which of the companies it is today. But Citrix, the NetScaler gateway, remote exploit without authentication. And the article I was reading, it cracked me up because they put a disclaimer on it that said, but only against appliances that are configured as a gateway or AAA virtual server. Oh, only the use case for it?
Yeah, it was a gateway, a proxy, the VPN, RDP proxy, or AAA. It's like, everything you use Citrix for. So anything you're using these NetScalers for, you're going to be vulnerable.
And I mean, but remote execution without authentication. I mean, that's bad.
Yeah, it's RCE again. We've seen a lot of these RCEs this year. I mean, it continues to rear its ugly head up in these critical vulnerabilities. And again, there was 3 vulnerabilities with this one. There was an RCE that Brad's talking about, so remote code execution. There's a reflective cross-site scripting, and then there's a privesc as well.
Yeah, privesc to root.
Yeah, so you could use the RCE to gain a foothold on the server, and then at that point, you're going to have a privesc vulnerability to gain root access onto the server. And so then server's owned. Other persistence mechanisms could easily be deployed if they gain that initial access. So again, you need to threat hunt that. And it's funny too, like Citrix is one of those things, man, where I remember big critical popped in 2019, and we had some cases come in from that. In 2019, even there was a pretty widespread adoption for these Citrix gateways. But then when COVID hit and we shifted to remote workforce, the adoption rate of these Citrix server NetScalers just went through the roof. There's so many people deploying these to support remote workforce. And so I don't know the count. I didn't have time to look and see how many devices we have on the internet today, but I'm sure there's a high volume of these, and I'm sure some of our users are utilizing Citrix as well. I'm going to give you the same story I just told for ColdFusion again. The patch isn't enough here, so make sure if you have those devices, you are patching, but then you're also doing threat hunting adjacently throughout your network to identify signs of lateral movement and persistence.
Yeah, there's a lot. Is what I would say.
And this isn't too like, it's like, man, I feel like we just keep bagging on stuff, but we got asked as the Hackabox last week, right? It was like, we're talking about specific vulnerability, and they were saying, well, should we retire those devices and move on to something else? And it's like, we're not saying that. Everything is going to be susceptible. And Citrix here, like, this is the 12th vulnerability release since 2021. So in the last 2 years, that's on CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities list, the 12th. It's a high frequency. And it's, think about the logic here. These are being exploited more. Vulnerabilities are being discovered more because, like we talked about, the frequency of usage increased. We know that this was a technology that was deployed to support remote workforce, and technologies that are supplied to support remote workforce, if exploited, often have a high value for an attacker, because then you can gain access to those internal resources through those technologies. And so these are very valuable targets. We're going to continue to see these types of vulnerabilities focused on these types of devices just continue to be known.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me. It's like, Microsoft got hit by the Chinese government. Why? Well, because that's where the data is, right? That's kind of the risk and the trade-off you make with some of these devices and some of these solutions is you're hoping that they have the capacity and capability to keep it secure because you don't.
Right.
And where are the attackers going to hit? Well, what is everyone using?
Yeah, what's the most fruitful? I mean, they're operating in the idea of like, let's focus our efforts on the tasks with the highest potential payout.
Yeah, where am I going to get the best bang for my buck?
Yep.
Right. If I can spray and pray and hit 500 NetScalers, why not?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a known, easy to execute vulnerability.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's, I think, was this the one too where I think they released the patch? It was a partial patch. No, actually, I'm stepping back to ColdFusion. So ColdFusion, it took 2 rounds of patches to resolve its vulnerabilities. The first one, they put a patch out based on the POC that had been released, the proof of concept exploit, and if it worked for that POC, but then researchers were like, yeah, we can slightly modify that proof of concept, and the vulnerability still exists, and so they had to patch again. And we've seen that a lot lately with vulnerabilities too, where our the companies and the businesses that are responding and trying to remediate those vulnerabilities are operating over that known POC in some cases, or the known disclosure, and so they have kind of tunnel vision on the remediation while focusing on specifics of that, but not really looking at the root cause of the problem and understanding the variations may still leave that application susceptible to attack.
Right. Well, and also under intense pressure and timeline. As soon as that POC gets released, man, clock's ticking.
Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, they're going to focus on what's known and try and get that out as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right, folks. Patch, thread hunt. Call us if you need a hand. Stay safe. I think we wrap, Brad. Anything else you want to chat about today?
No, I think we got to give the shout out today has to be for unfortunate passing of Kevin Mitnick.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, rest in peace, Kevin. He was a pioneer for sure.
Yeah.
He helped make a lot of good change throughout our industry, and regardless of what you think of Kevin, like he was a pioneer. He is responsible for a lot of the things that we see today. So rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in again. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk soon. See ya.